In this lesson, we are going to talk about full screen and resizing. Currently, we have our canvas taking like 800 by 600 because we put it in the code. We want our canvas to take the whole available space. You're not forced to do that. You can have like a WebGL canvas just on a part of your website. Maybe you have to scroll to get it. But in the following lessons, we want very immersive experiences. So we are going to take all the available space for our canvas, for our renderer actually. So yeah, the setup, it's our usual cube, and we can rotate around because I've also added the orbit controls from the previous lesson. So yeah, it's just so you can rotate around, zoom in, zoom out, move the camera with the right click, and this is just fine. All right, let's try to make our canvas fit in the viewport. First, I'm talking about viewport. This is the viewport. You can say window, but it's not true because window is this part. You can say screen, and it's not true too because this is the screen. So we are going to talk about the viewport, which is just like the content you can see. All right, the first thing we can do, which is pretty easily, instead of using 800 and 600, we can use window inner width, which will get the sizes of the viewport. I know it's window, but it's the viewport. Trust me on that. If I save, as you can see, my canvas resized, and I have something not bad, but we have a problem. Look on the top and left. As you can see, there is a marge on the top and a marge on the left. And if you scroll, so I cannot scroll this way, I can scroll using the scroll bar. As you can see, I can scroll, which is not very good looking, so we are going to fix that. So yeah, it's a matter of styling. The problem is that the browser has a default styling. When you use a H1, you get a big title. When you use a paragraph, you get a margin under the title. And in any case, we have a margin on the body. This is what you can see here. So to fix that, we are going to go on the CSS file. Remember that the CSS is being imported directly from the script.js file. And in this CSS, we can put anything we want. Like if I want to use a red background, I can do that on the body, and you will see that we now have a red background on the body. But it's not what I want to do. One solution, and we are going to see multiple solutions and mix them. One solution is to remove all margin and paddings on every object. You can do that simply by using the star, asterisk, maybe you say, margin 0, and padding 0, just like this. And as you can see, it's better. I don't have this strange margin I had here, but still I can scroll. So it's a pretty good solution, but it's not perfect. Let's try to fix that. One other solution, so you don't have to mix those two solutions, but I'm going to show them both to you. If you just use this solution I'm going to show you, it should be enough. But still, let's keep our margin 0, padding 0. We are going to target the canvas. Remember that we put a class on the canvas. So we are going to target the canvas like this and simply put it on the top left by using position fixed, top 0, and left 0, just like this. We could have used absolute. It would work the same. It really depends on the rest of your website. So I decided to use fixed because it's even more strong, let's say. But you could have used absolute. You would get the same result. And as you can see, the scroll bar is gone. So it's even better. All right. When you drag and drop, some of you might see blue outline. It depends. It depends on the browser, the version, your OS, many things. Anyway, we want to get rid of it for every visitor going to your website. How we can do that? So as you can see me, I have it right now. Well, the solution is pretty simple. All we need to do is outline none directly on the canvas, just like this. So you put outline none, and as you can see, when I drag and drop, I don't see the outline anymore, the blue outline anymore, which is perfect. Let's go further. There is one last thing I want to fix. Not all of you will be able to see this problem, but when I scroll using the trackpad, oh, it's not working. I have to deactivate the orbit. You don't need to do it, but I will show you anyway. To deactivate the orbit control, you can do controls enable equal false. As you can see, I don't have the controls anymore. I'm drag and dropping, it's not working. What I want to show you is that if I use my trackpad, so it's a Mac OS trackpad, I'm using a MacBook Pro, as you can see, I can scroll beyond the limit of the page, which is not very good, not very immersive. When I have the controls enabled, it doesn't work anymore because the scroll event is being cached. So for us, it's not much of a problem. But if you are, I don't know, if it's just an animation and you don't need controls, you will have this problem of user being able to scroll beyond the limit, like that. We can fix that by preventing the scroll. And to prevent the scroll, what we can do, I will put on top, yeah, I will put myself here, is target the HTML, target the body, so don't forget the comma here, and add overflow hidden. This will prevent any scroll. As you can see, I'm scrolling right now. You cannot see it, but trust me, I cannot scroll beyond the limit. Using trackpad or the mouse, it's impossible to go beyond the limit. Okay, that's it. We have our canvas taking the all available space, and we cannot scroll anymore. We don't have scroll bars, we don't have margins. It's looking just great and it's immersive. Nice. The problem is, so I'm going to close the style, I'm going to close the sidebar here so we can focus on the script, and I'm going to remove this controls enabled false because I want to be able to control the camera with orbit controls. So I can use orbit controls again. The problem I have now, look at this, if I resize my window, I get something like this, and maybe on the vertical direction, yeah, I get the same problem. And if it's too small, well, I cannot see the cube anymore. So we need to handle the resizing. To do that, first we need to be aware that a resize occurred. It's pretty straightforward. What we can do here, so let me see, I'm going to put, yeah, on the sizes part, just after creating the sizes variable, I'm going to listen to the resize event. This is native JavaScript. For now, it has nothing to do with 3GS. So I can listen to window, add event listener, resize, like this. Sorry, the suggest is huge. I'm going to, so this is the name of the event, and I'm going to send a function on the second argument, like here. I'm using fat arrows, as always, but you can use classic function. I think it's going to be fine. Yeah, I think it's going to work. And inside of this, I'm going just to put a log because I want to test if everything is working. Window has been resized. Let's check the result. I'm going to resize the window. So you have to resize the window to see the result. And as you can see, I got logs telling me that window has been resized, which means that the function is working just fine. But we didn't put anything in the function, so the problem is still here. My canvas is not resizing, my renderer is not resizing. All right, what we can do now? First, we have this object that contains the width and the height. We are going to update that object. So let's go for it. Update sizes. Sizes.width equal, and we are going to do the same, but those values are now changed. So this is why we need to update sizes. We're going to do the same for the height, like this. I save, no error, but still it's not working. Just updating this object won't change a thing because it's one of our objects. Yes, we use it later in the code, but we need to update the different element of our scene of our environment, so it can work. Now we need to update the camera. So we are going to put update camera. And what we need to update in the camera is the aspect, because remember that in the parameters of the perspective camera, we specified the field of view, all right, but we also specified what we call an aspect, which is the width divided by the height. And when we resize our page, these values change because it's not the same aspect. We are doing something like that. It's not always the same aspect. So to fix that, we are going to update the camera aspect property, just aspect. And we are going to put the same thing we did here when instantiating the perspective camera. And it's going to be the sizes width divided by the sizes height. We are getting somewhere. Look at this. Okay. No changes. The problem is that when you are updating the aspect, you have to alert 3GS, alert the camera that they need to update the projection matrix. We talked about matrix in a previous lesson. Matrices are those data that do projection, modification for the whole things. It's very complex, and the good thing is that we don't need to handle matrices on our own. We just move the position, change the rotation, change the scale, and matrices get updated. What we are going to do now is just tell camera update projection matrix. And we don't need to do anything. 3GS will do those hard calculations on its own. Let's see the result. And we are going to see something. Yeah, something is happening. It's like the cube is being stretched. Very strange. Anyway, we can continue because the problem is that our canvas is not taking the space, all the available space. To fix that, what we need to do is update our renderer. And we already did that. If you checked below, our renderer, after creating it, after instantiating it, we are calling set size. And we are going to do the same. I can just copy this line, get back to my resize function, and do update renderer, and put it there. And look at this. It's working. Nice. And our cube isn't stretched or squeezed, so it's working fine. You can do it vertically, it's going to work the same. Okay, so this is great. We now handle the resize. So remember, you have to update the object if you are using a reference object to store the width and the height. We are updating the camera. Don't forget to call update projection matrix if you do so. And at the end, we are updating the renderer with set size, which will also update the canvas. Don't forget that you have a canvas in your page. Updating the renderer will update the canvas accordingly. Great. Let's talk about pixel ratio. This is a very interesting subject. Some of you might see a blurry render, like it's not very perfect. You can also see stairs effect. I can't show it to you. I hope it's not going to... You can see them even with the compression of the video. But here I can see stairs effects on the edges. Just look at it on your computer. Some of you might see those blurry render because you're using a computer with a pixel ratio greater than 1. Alright, not all of you. Me, I'm using a pixel ratio of 1, so I don't see a blurry render, but still I can see this stair-like effect. Yeah, the pixel ratio corresponds to how many physical pixels you have on the screen for 1 pixel unit of the software part. Let me try to explain this to you with some drawings. Alright. I'm going to start with the screen. So this is your screen. I'm not very good at drawing. I'll do my best. So this is your screen, like that. All right, we can do a little stand, something like that. Great. You have pixels on your screen. So we are going to separate the screens in pixels, like this. Obviously, you have pixels. Oh, too bad. Oh, this is so hard. something like this, something like this, something like this, and again, and so you have many pixels like this. All right, we are just going to focus on the first 9 pixels. So it's something like 1, 2, 3, let's say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a classic computer, a classic screen with that much pixel. Great. The thing is, let's talk about some history before doing the drawings. For years, Fullscreen had a pixel ratio of 1, and if you look closely, you could see those pixels. So if you look closely to your screen, you could see those pixels. It's still the case if you are using a computer with a pixel ratio of 1, you can see those pixels if you get very close to the screen. Constructors like Apple saw an opportunity and started building screens with a pixel ratio of 2. It enables to be more precise. By that, it means that I'm going to show the drawings after. Now some constructors are making even higher pixel ratio, and it goes even beyond 3. This is just marketing. You don't need a pixel ratio beyond 3. So yeah, a pixel ratio of 2 means 4 times more pixels to render, and a pixel ratio of 3 means 9 times more pixel to render. I can show it to you right now. For the first pixel, if you have just 1 pixel, well, it's really easy. You get this pixel to draw. So your GPU will draw this pixel for you and put it on your canvas. If you have a pixel ratio of 2, you divide each pixels like this, and you get 4 pixels to render. So for 1 pixel of your canvas, you will get 4 pixels to render. And if you have a pixel ratio of 3, you get something like this. 9 pixels to render, which is a lot. For the same render, if you do it on a pixel ratio of 1, you get just 1 pixel to render, and on pixel ratio of 3, you get 9 pixels to render. This is very hard for your GPU. It takes time to do this operation. And if you have more pixels, it will look something like this. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is just crazy, and you get a lot of pixels to render everywhere just for 1 software pixel. We are going to say that. So yeah, that's a problem. But still, we need to handle this, because if you are using, let's say, a retina display, which is a pixel ratio of 2, and you are just drawing these huge things here, you will get something like this, the same pixel being drawn on all 4 pixels, and it's just going to look blurry, bad. It could be better. What we want to do is draw separate things on those pixels, because we can be more precise. So how to do this? And keep in mind that it can go too far. How to do this? Let me get back to this. Yeah, first the problem is that highest pixel ratio are usually on the weakest devices, which are mobiles. So you have mobiles with pixel ratio that goes up to 5. This is so wrong. It's just marketing. It's just marketing. You don't need that much. Even if you look very closely to your phone, you won't see a difference between a pixel ratio of 2 and a pixel ratio of 3 and a pixel ratio of 5. So pixel ratio of 2 is kind of the limit. It's a good limit. We don't need more. So be careful when you buy smartphones and screen. Maybe 3, not more. All right, let's handle the pixel ratio on our code part. To get the pixel ratio, we can use window device pixel ratio. If you write this in the console, see, window device pixel ratio, you can see that I have a pixel ratio of 1. Try it, open your console and write window device pixel ratio, and you will know if you have a pixel ratio of 1, 2, 3. You can have actually pixel ratio like 2.5, 2.3, stuff like that. To update our render, so we are going back to where we instantiate our renderer, we are going to call renderer.setPixelRatio. set pixel ratio. So we can just provide the pixel ratio and let 3GS do its things. And we're going to use window, just like we did in the console, device pixel ratio, just like that. So for me, it's not going to change anything. For the one, for the one of you that has a pixel ratio above 1, you're going to see a better quality picture, and you're going you won't be able to see those stairs, strange stairs, because you will have a more precise picture, which is great. The problem is that if we are testing this code on those crazy devices with pixel ratio of 5, we are going to do so many renders, like way too much pixels to render. We need to limit it. And we are going to limit the value, the window device pixel ratio, to 2. Actually, you can do more, but trust me, 2 is just enough. To do that, we are going to use math.min, which will output the minimum value between the two parameters. The first parameter is going to be the pixel ratio of window, and the second parameter is going to be 2. So if the pixel ratio is 1, the minimal value between 1 and 2 is 1, so it's going to be 1. If the pixel ratio of your screen is 2, the minimum value between 2 and 2, it's 2. But if your pixel ratio is above 2, like 3, this function will return 2, because the minimum value will be 2. Great. I recommend you to always have this. Don't put the window pixel ratio alone. You will have performance issues on devices with very high pixel ratio. All right. What we can do is put this code, so the set device pixel ratio with math.min, and put it inside the resize. Why I like to do that? It's because sometimes people have different screens and they can just take a window and put it in the other screen, so it's just second screens with different pixel ratio. It's my case. I have my MacBook Pro on the side with a pixel ratio of 2 and my main screen in front of me with a pixel ratio of 1. When I'm taking, let's say, this and putting inside on my MacBook Pro screen, I will have a different pixel ratio and I want to enjoy a good quality of render. So what I'm doing is that if a resize occurs, because most of the time when you're moving windows from a screen to another, you're also resizing, so it fits properly. It will also test the window device pixel ratio, and if the device pixel ratio change, it's going to be applied to our renderer. So it's just a tips. So when people change the window from a screen to another, they get the right pixel ratio. Okay, you can just save. You can test it if you don't have a high density pixel ratio. It's okay. Just trust me, it's going to work. And if you have the equation to test it, just do it. All right, we are almost there, but we are going to go a little further. We are going to handle full screen because we want to create very immersive experiences. Let's say you are building a game. You want the player to be able to enjoy your game with a full screen, no window, no frame. So we want to be able to go to full screen. How can we do that? First, how are we going to toggle the full screen? We can have a button, we can have a shortcut, we could do any of this. But in our case, in this lesson, we are going to listen to the double click, because you can listen to a double click event in JavaScript. So we are going to start with very simple native JavaScript, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue in the sizes part. So after the window add event listener resize, I'm going to listen to the double click event on window. To do that, I'm doing window add event listener. The event is DBL click. That's very strange. It's old JavaScript. I'm going to send a function with a fat arrow version. And here I'm simply going to say double click, just to test. Always test, we never know. And as you can see, when I double click, which is what I'm doing, I get a console log. So it's working. Make sure this is working. So what we can do now? First, we need to know if we want to go to full screen or leave the full screen, because if the user is already in full screen, because it double-click already, we want to leave the full screen. Right now, we cannot test that because we cannot go to the full screen mode. So we are going to go a little further and we will just test if this part is working. What we are going to do is do if nothing. So I'm going to negate it with negate the boolean with an exclamation point. Go full screen, and else is going to be leave full screen, just like that. We cannot test it right now, but we will be able to test it shortly. So how can we go to the full screen mode? Because we are not in full screen, we want to go to the full screen mode. What we have to do is use the request full screen, but you have to do this on the concerned element, because you can take any element of your page and put it in full screen. It can be just a video, it can be a canvas, it can be, I don't know, like an element with many children. In our case, we want our canvas to go to the full screen, and we already have our canvas in the canvas variable. So we can do canvas, because this is our element we want to go to the full screen. Request full screen, just like this. Go full screen, I can remove this. If you double click, it's going full screen. To leave the full screen, you can press escape. And we are now going to handle the double click to leave the full screen. And to do that, we can do document, exit. So it's not on the canvas, it's on the document this time. Exit full screen, just like this. I'm double clicking, it goes full screen. I'm double clicking again, it leaves the full screen, which is working just fine. So yeah, it's working. Unfortunately, this won't work on Safari. Yeah, Safari is always late on simple features like that. By the time I'm recording this, it's not working on Safari. But for you, maybe it works. I don't know. I hope in the future it will work. So to fix that, we are going to use prefixed version. I won't go into details about that, but it's going to work, don't worry. If you don't care about Safari, just don't do that. First, we cannot use document full screen. We need to use something like document WebKit full screen or something like that. So it's a little harder. What we are going to do is create a variable that will look like this, full screen element. And we are going to use document.fullScreenElement, which is what we did earlier. So it's just that. Okay, so this is exactly what we had here. And we are going to add pipe, so it's O, document, and it's the same thing, but we prefix with WebKit, and it's going to look like this. WebKit full screen element, and don't forget to put the F in uppercase. All right, and this, we are going to put it there instead of our previous test. We cannot use this directly inside the if. It's going to throw an error on some browser. So we cannot just do it directly in the if. We have to put it in a variable first. I don't know exactly why. So secondly, we cannot call request full screen, obviously. We have to call if canvas request full screen. So if this does exist, we are going to call it. Else, so I'm going to do else if canvas request full screen, but I'm going to add WebKit request full screen. So it's the same, but with WebKit, just like that. And if it's WebKit request full screen, I'm going to call it. So if the browser already supports request full screen, it's going to call request full screen. But if not, JavaScript is going to test if WebKit full screen works and exists, and it's going to call it. And we're going to do exactly the same thing for the exit. So if document exit full screen exists, we are going to call it. So it's going to be something like this. And if not, So else, we are going to test the same thing as before. It's the same version, but with WebKit. And we get something like this. All right? So this is a lot of code just to handle Safari, but now it's going to work on Chrome, Safari, Firefox, even Edge. So I double click, it's working. I'm going to open Safari just to check if everything is right. You can open the same URL on Safari. I double click, it's going full screen. I double click, it's leaving full screen. All right. Everything should work just fine on all modern browsers. In the next lesson, we are going to talk about geometries.